Welcome to another episode of the And Now I Know podcast. I'm your host, 32 Flavazz, and I'm here to inspire you to live life at your fullest potential. Now, if you're looking for a podcast that's going to inspire you to chase your dreams, motivate you to get up each and every day, and help you navigate life just a little bit better, be sure to hit that subscribe button if you watch it on YouTube. And if you're listening on any streaming platform, I'm talking Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it, be sure to hit that follow button. And don't forget to download each episode because I need your downloads, okay? We need that shmoney. All right, so today, if you are watching, you see that I don't have my cards in my hand. If you're listening, I don't have my cards in my hand. Today, I have a notebook on my lap because I really did take the time to write out all of my thoughts. And I loved writing down my thoughts because I felt like I got back into my writing bag. If you haven't heard me talk about this before, I have always been a really great writer, and I loved putting this episode together because I just really, like I said, got in my bag, my flow. And I want you guys to take away some things from this episode today because, like I said, my life purpose is to inspire others to live life at their fullest potential. And it wouldn't be right to have this episode talking about therapy without giving you guys some things that I learned that will help you along the way. So stay tuned to the end because I'm dropping some big gems. All right. So I left off by talking about how when you begin to break down your beginning, your childhood, your traumas or struggles you have growing up, you may start to develop some resentment. How many of you guys resent somebody or people? All right. I know I've struggled with that. So you ain't alone. So you may start to develop resentment towards the people who had an impact on why you are the way that you are. Okay. I know you guys have heard at least one person or maybe multiple people in your lifetime say, I just am the way that I am because I am the way that I am. This is just me. This is how I was brought up. This is just who I am. Get with it or get lost. And that's an immature mindset, right? So for those of you who don't know the true definition of resentment, let me break it down. Resentment is a bitter indignation at having been treated unfairly. Again, a bitter indignation at having been treated unfairly. How many of you guys feel like you've been treated unfairly by somebody that you love? Maybe in the workplace, maybe by your parents, your brother, your sister, aunt, uncle, whoever it is that you have resentment. Even a relationship, y'all. Sometimes we resent the people that we've been in a relationship with or that we are currently in a relationship with, right? So what I learned through therapy, because I promise y'all to let you guys know how I work through resentment, is one way to work through resentment is by giving grace. All right. Now, that is way easier said than done. That's something that I'm still working through, but I'm way better than I once was at giving grace. So giving grace and understanding that people are either projecting their traumas, their insecurities, their beliefs on you, and understanding that people are giving and loving and caring the only way that they know how. And so when you think like that, it helps you start to look at people like, I feel sorry for them, or I feel sorry for her. I feel sorry for him that he had to treat me this way. And I'm not saying be a dummy or be gullible or anything like that. But what I'm saying is when you shift your mindset to the I feel sorry for them, it will take you out of the situation and it will have you looking at people for exactly who they are, whether that's your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your brother, sister, parent, your teacher, whoever let you down, whoever you had resentment towards, whoever you felt a way about, maybe even a bully that you had when you was growing up. You know what I'm saying? Like when you start looking at people like, I truly feel sorry for you because you didn't love yourself, which is why you treat me this way. You didn't care about yourself, which is why you don't care about me. Nobody ever cared about you. So how would you know how to care about me? You get what I'm saying? So another example, let's say on the playground when you was a kid, somebody might have bullied you or teased you, right? 9 times out of 10 people who are bullies, who tease, who are narcissists, etc., those type of people are the most insecure people, and hurt people, and that's just period. So just because you extend or give grace, that does not mean boundaries cannot exist. And I feel like setting boundaries has been a huge topic of conversation, but there is a difference between having boundaries and having rules, right? We don't want to make rules on people. We're not trying to control people like they're puppets or dolls, but it is okay for us, and we need to all have boundaries with ourselves and with other people. So when we grow older, we have to get rid of that victim mindset. Like I always say, when you know better, you do better. And therefore, once you hit the age of 25, what they call it, when that frontal lobe is fully developed, you have to start holding yourself accountable for your actions, because nobody is responsible. Like at a certain age, like I said, 25, you can no longer walk around here saying, well, my mama's the reason why I am the way I am. My dad, my brother, my cousin, my uncle, my teacher. Like, you can't keep being the victim, because when you are the victim, you end up carrying so much baggage that other people are forced to deal with. You end up spilling on innocent people. So it is important to hold yourself accountable, sit with yourself and say, you know what? I've been hurt before. I've gone through some pain, some traumas, no matter what area in your life it was in, whether it was relationships, friendships, childhood, whatever. You are responsible for healing that. It's nobody else's responsibility. So oftentimes we think getting in a relationship, making new friends, moving out of town, switching schools will help you be happy or be at peace, when in fact you're carrying your baggage around like a backpack, or you're moving the baggage around. If you a person that moves state to state, house to house, you moving that baggage in the boxes with your dishes and your clothes. Okay. So it's very important to dig deep, y'all. And self-reflection is a huge part of therapy. It really takes a lot of courage to sit with yourself and work through everything and really look yourself in the mirror and say, this is about nobody else but me. Okay. And like I said, I no longer wanted to be a victim of anything. I did not want to spill on other people. Like I said in my last episode, I knew I was going to be, God willing, a mother one day, a wife one day. And I did not want to spill on my family. I didn't want to spill on my future relationship, my future friendships, my business partners, whatever the case is in my future. I just wanted to be as best prepared for that as possible. Right? So when you're trying to break generational curses, when you're trying to get your life together, when you're trying to grow, heal, evolve, it starts with admitting first there is something that needs to be worked on. Okay, I'm going to keep hinting at holding yourself accountable this whole entire episode, because that is honestly a lot of what therapy is, a lot of what healing is, holding yourself accountable for what you are responsible for, which is 90%. Okay, so a lot of times when it comes to accountability, I've learned that oftentimes people struggle with accountability because admitting that you have an area of weakness or struggle can cause guilt or shame. Nobody likes feeling guilty or shame. I hear so many people vent to me and they talk to me about like maybe family traumas and stuff like that. Have y'all ever experienced something? And I don't even want to just say family. Have you ever experienced something with somebody or a group of people, and when you bring it up, they act like it never happened? That's not because they forgot. That's because people don't like feeling that guilt or shame, because 9 times out of 10, the person that hurt you, that harmed you, that caused you pain or trauma or turmoil, they probably struggle with self-esteem issues. They probably struggle with insecurities. So the moment that they take on your trauma, that is taking another jab at their insecurity, at their worthiness. You know what I'm saying? And most people don't want to feel less than any more than what they already do. Feel me? So, like I said, the first step to healing, growing, and evolving is to admit that there is some work that needs to be done. And holding yourself accountable takes courage. I learned that we need to stop looking at our imperfections or flaws in such a negative light, because we all have them. I know I got some flaws. I can write them down on a list of paper at this point. But some people can't even write their flaws down because they think that they're perfect, or they thinking, oh, well, life was good for me. Everything was fine. Everything wasn't good, but everything wasn't perfect, but I made it all right. And it's like, no, we all have flaws and insecurities, right? We as people don't want to not be seen as perfect or having it all together, because we feel like having weakness is a blow to our self-esteem. When in fact, when you stand on your struggles, your traumas, your weaknesses, and you heal them and you work through it, you will strengthen your self-esteem. and it will become easier to hold yourself accountable and move on with your life. Because a lot of us are carrying on baggage and all this stuff, and we don't have to carry all of that, right? We can literally heal through it, work through it, and move forward with our lives. I always say sit in it, but don't stay in it. And a lot of us are walking around sitting in old stuff, and we can't even get a hold of the new blessings, opportunities, the new people that God is trying to send us, because we too busy trying to hold on to all this old stuff, right? So I just want to use myself for an example. I come from a very strong family. And I always remember my grandma telling me, don't let nobody see you cry. Don't let nobody see you cry. And when she said that, she would say, when people see you cry, it's basically you showing a sign of weakness. And so I used to take that in and soak that in. And that doesn't mean I never cried. But when I did cry, or when I did show sadness, or like I was upset, I didn't feel good about it. I didn't feel like I can sit in it. And this is I'm not even gonna, like I said, this is not my grandma's fault as to why I thought the way that I did, but she did, make that comment often. And that is kind of like that, not that is, but that was kind of stained on my brain. And so if I take myself out of the situation and I think about my grandma got several siblings, okay? Brothers and sisters. I believe it was 9 of them. I think either 9 or 8 of them. Sorry. And you got to think, growing up back in the day with all them siblings and all them kids in the house, first of all, I'm pretty sure my grandma always talk about eating beans and not having enough or not having it, whatever the case is. And so when you grow up feeling like your appearance is not up to par, or you barely eating, or your family or your household is struggling, you cannot show a sign of weakness by crying. It's like, so you mean to tell me you looking rough, your appearance is messed up, or y'all ain't got it, and you weak? It's like you are forced to be strong based off of your upbringing and how you were brought up. You get what I'm saying? And so that's what I mean when I first said that people end up projecting on you their insecurities or what they went through onto you. And so you got to watch that when it comes to people. Now, shout out to my grandma. I love my grandma to death. And I know that when she was telling me that, from a place of survival, from a place of strength. Like, a lot of people are just trying to survive. I'm saying a lot of people, we are all just trying to survive in relationships, in our workplaces, in friendships, in relationships, etc. So we are all making up our own coping and survival tactics, and it's really not helpful. It's honestly more harmful, and we passing it along to our friends, our family, etc. And so another thing my grandma would say is like, don't be doing all that hooting and hollering at my funeral. Don't be doing too much crying. Don't let nobody see you cry. And like I keep saying, like I have to put it in my mind. Like, I feel sorry for my grandma, because she believes in her head that if somebody sees her cry, that is showing that she is weak. And so I've always grown up with vulnerability issues. I feel like it is so hard, or not it is, but it has been in the past so hard for me to truly let all my walls down, my guard down, because things will literally get downloaded in your brain that people pass on to you, right? And I know my grandma loved me to death. My grandma would give anybody the shirt off her back. Love this lady, right? But I do feel like that is something that was passed down to me, something that I'm trying to break, because I don't want my family, my future family, feeling like they cannot cry or they cannot be sad. I feel like, especially in a Black home, when we whooping our kids, or when somebody makes a mistake, typically a kid makes a mistake, it's like, what you crying for? I'm gonna give you something to cry about. And it's like, we are basically, it's so sad, y'all, when you think about it, because it's like we literally passing on generational curses, and we are making ourselves believe that we can't be weak, or emotions are weak, when it's like, no, holding all that stuff in eventually breaks you down and makes you weak, versus you sitting in it, working through it, facing how you feel, facing your sadness, your fear, your anxiety, your whatever you feeling firsthand, so that way you ain't got to revisit it later. So y'all, as I was writing all of this out, writing this episode out, like I said, I've never written an episode out before. I normally just go off the top of the dome, or I go off of my cards. And I was writing and something just came to me, and I felt like it came from God. I got to give him credit. And I want you guys to, I'm trying to dim the lights, even though I can't dim the lights right now. I'm trying to set the tone so you guys can feel me. So imagine or picture a computer in a library before I start reading this passage that I wrote. Picture a computer in a library. Sometimes ways of life can be downloaded inside of your brain like a virus. Ooh. Let me start snapping. I'm really a poet out here, okay? I'm really feeling like I'm a rapper with her pen and her pad. But let me start from the top. Sometimes ways of life can be downloaded inside of your brain like a virus on a computer. And before you know it, you need a Norton virus protection to be installed in order for the computer to work properly again. Y'all, I gotta run it back. I wish I had the era DJ run it back. Sometimes ways of life can be downloaded inside of your brain like a virus on a computer. And before you know it, you need Norton virus protection to be installed in order for the computer to work properly again. It'll still work though, but every time you go to use it, it'll be a pop-up. Something comes up. It's running slow. It's not operating at its best. Okay. So imagine that you are a computer in the library. Now, people gonna keep sitting down at this computer. You're gonna have people coming in and out of the library, sitting at this computer. They're gonna keep trying until one day somebody gonna finally get up and say, this computer is out of order. One day you might have a situation that you go through, what I like to call your cherry on top moment, when it's like your computer is out of order. You are out of order. Do y'all feel what I'm saying? And so I just got to take that in again, because when I wrote it, I just felt like I was really, really dropping gems out here. Okay. But we gotta do the work, y'all. There's no way that you can go through all of this life stuff. I don't care if you had a good life. I don't care if you grew up rich. I don't care if you grew up having it all. We all have a story, whether we like to admit it or not. Okay. Which is why I keep hyping up therapy, because it is definitely is life changing. Okay. And I'm in a whole nother place now. And I'm so grateful for, my therapist, or just even the opportunity to be able to do it, because I pay out of pocket. That's how worth it is. Okay. Now, some therapists you can use your insurance or whatever, but I pay out of pocket, y'all. And let me tell you, therapy truly shaped me. It helped me look at people totally different, situations totally different, look at myself totally different. And it just helped me give grace to more people, situations, to myself, because I can be real and say I really wasn't giving that much grace to myself or other people, if any at all. Okay. And so when I was writing this episode out and I was writing these little points down, the first song that came to mind was All Falls Down by Kanye West. Now, y'all know that song is a classic, right? But have you ever taken the time to really listen to the lyrics and listen to what he's saying? Now, I know Kanye been on his Kanye stuff lately, but that man literally is goated. Like, literally, that man is one of them. Okay. So I want to pull up the lyrics. I don't even need to pull up the lyrics because I know them. But I want to read the last two verses, of All Falls Down by Kanye West. Y'all been listening this long, so I know y'all got a minute and 30 seconds for me to read these verses. Probably won't even be that long, but let's break it down. He say, man, I promise, I'm so self-conscious. That's why you always see me with at least one of my watches. Rollies and Porsches done drove me crazy. I can't even pronounce nothing. Past that Versace. Then I spent $400 on this. Just to be like, nigga, you ain't up on this. and I can't even go to the grocery store without some ones that's clean and a shirt with a team. It seems we live in the American dream. The people highest up got the lowest self-esteem. The prettiest people do the ugliest things. For the road to riches and diamond rings, we shine because they hate us, floss because they degrade us. We trying to buy back our 40 acres. And for that paper, look how low we'll stoop. Even if you in a Benz, you still a nigga in the coupe. Y'all, stop playing with that man. Last verse. I say, F the police, that's how I treat them. We buy our way out of jail, but we can't buy freedom. We'll buy a lot of clothes, but we don't really need them. Things we buy to cover up what's inside, because they made us hate ourselves and love their wealth. That's why shorties how the water ball is at. Drug dealer by Jordan, crackhead by crack, and the white man get paid after. White man get paid off of all of that. And I ain't even gonna act holier than thou, cause F it. I went to Jacob with 25,000 before I had a house, and I'll do it again. Cause I wanna be on 106 and Park pushing the Benz. I wanna act ballerific like it's all terrific. I got a couple past due bills, I won't get specific. I got a problem with spending before I get it. We all self-conscious, I'm just the first to admit it. I really hate that I read that like that, because I've been playing All Falls Down since I made up my mind that was going to be my reference song. But if you know, y'all, this man is really spitting, and he's spitting about the culture. And so, like I said, the reason why I keep pressing on therapy, and not even just therapy, healing, we need to talk to somebody that is a professional who knows about this. Not all therapists are good therapists, but we need to talk to somebody, because just us as a black community or black and brown people, period, y'all, we already had issues and traumas before we even came out the womb. You know what I'm saying? And so we literally are just passing on generational curses. That's why we hate on one another. We don't want to see the next man do better than us. We hating if a man get $2 more extra than us. We pocket watching. We people watching. We are always divided. We feel like the items that we have on are what's making us and shaping us. And I'm here to tell y'all that I love the fly things, the finer things. But one thing therapy taught me is that if y'all remove this podcast, my business, these clothes off of my back, if I am not driving that Benz that I'm driving, I'm still that girl because God says so. I'm still that girl because I am. That's what God told me. I was one of his. I am. Right. And we don't really believe that. And so a lot of times we putting on these clothes, these labels, and we feel like we got to do so much covering up because we don't want people to really see our flaws, our insecurities, when in reality, like I keep saying on every episode, if we talked about our imperfections more, that will bring us closer together. Now, I'm not saying just go out here blurting out your imperfections, your insecurities, but what I'm saying is we all have more in common than we think. We all go through bad relationships. We all have some sort of childhood trauma, whether you grew up rich or you grew up poor. We all might have had that grandma, that cousin, that uncle, that auntie that did certain things to us that we'll never forget, or said certain things to us that we'll never forget. And if we sit down and talk about it or work through it, I feel like the world will be a better place, or we would get one step further. But a lot of times I hear people talking about therapy in such a negative light. Oh, I don't need to talk to nobody. What a therapist gonna do? That's because, first of all, like I said, a lot of people don't like sitting down and holding themselves accountable. A lot of people just walking around aimlessly like they don't have any problems or issues, when in reality you just spilling on people because you don't want to sit down with yourself, because it takes a lot of doing to sit down with yourself and truly work on yourself. You know how much courage it takes to sit down with yourself and have somebody helping you navigate your rights and your wrongs. And it's not even about a right or wrong, y'all, but we really, really need healing, especially in our community. Because if the first thing we do, we run the social media now, the internet is basically running the world, and it got everybody posting their perfections, their wins, their achievements, their numbers, their following, and nobody is talking about the losses. And so we got our young children, we got our people going on the internet for our source of, for entertainment, for the news, and all we seeing is our people just wilding out. Now, there are positive things on the internet. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is, y'all, We literally are the blind leading the blind, and we need help. We need healing as a people, as a collective. And the only way we gonna get better is if we dig deep back into our roots. And I know everything is not our fault, but how long we gonna keep, pulling the violin out when we telling our story, And so for me, I don't want to spill on nobody. I don't want to spill on my clients, in my business, in my future relationships, in my friendships. I want to be the best version of myself. Now, that doesn't mean I don't get triggered. That don't mean that I'm not perfect. I say this all the time because I do feel like when you are trying to grow and evolve, I feel the need to always make the disclaimer to let people know that I don't think that I'm better than anybody, but I do know that I don't belong in certain environments anymore. I do feel like I've outgrown certain things. I do feel like I can still get triggered, but I know how to regulate my emotions better. And that's honestly what it's all about, and going back to the All Falls Down lyrics, like literally he's saying, even if you in a Benz, you still a nigga in a coupe. I'm driving a Benz right now. I'm here to tell y'all, after the wear and tear is done, after, like I said, that first episode, after you put that car in the shop the first time, the value in your mind decreases. You don't even care about the stuff no more. It really holds no weight. It really don't even mean nothing. And I'm saying this from a healed place. I'm saying this from a person that loves the finer things. Don't get me wrong. As I continue to grow, and let's just say my podcast is, number one, and all these things we're going to speak into existence, I'm going to want the nice things. Who don't want the double R? Who don't want the stars in the ceiling? Who don't want to have the Ricks on and the nice things? But that stuff does not define who you are. And I was once a person who felt like my achievements is what made me the 32 Flavazz, the girl, the it girl. No, I am a strong Black woman. I'm smart. I'm strong. I'm courageous. I'm ambitious. All these things, it's more than your outer. You bigger than your business. That's another thing. A lot of times we feel like we boss lady, we boss man because of our business. No, it should be about integrity. It should be about character. It should be about how you taking care of your family. Okay, how you loving on your family if you don't have one of your own. Right? And so you're not able to love on people properly, care on people properly, and truly flourish in your purpose and calling until you sit down with yourself and you work out and you break down everything that you've gone through. Because whether you believe it or not, if you have not talked to a professional or if you haven't taken time to truly heal, 9 times out of 10, you are treating people. I was going to say a whole nother point. 9 times out of 10, you are spilling on people, y'all. And my whole point of this is to no longer spill on people and to encourage people to go out and seek some help. I don't know why that the whole idea of therapy is like, oh, you must have some type of mental something going on. Like literally, y'all, I talk to my therapist like I would talk to a friend. The difference is she don't know none of my people, so she's giving me a straight, real, raw, knowledgeable answer on how to navigate things. And I can't even say she's giving me like just answers. She's giving me tools so that way I can regulate my emotions. And so I want to share with you guys 5 things that I have taken away from therapy this year. If you follow me on TikTok, one of my viral TikTok videos actually hit over 1 million views now on TikTok. And I had said, what were the top 5 things I learned in therapy in 2022? So here I am with an updated version of that. And I just want to break it all down for y'all. So here we go. Number 1, you are responsible for your own healing. Nobody can fix you. Nobody can mend your broken heart or repair issues that they did not create. Let me say that again. You are responsible for your own healing. Nobody can fix you, mend your broken heart, or repair issues that they did not create. You are your own responsibility. Stop getting in situations thinking that people are supposed to help you, bring you peace, heal you. Period. Even your children, like I see a lot of times people say like, oh, my I don't have any kids, so I guess I'm speaking from an outer place. But it's like, you have to bring you the peace and the healing that you need. Not a child, not a man, not a job, not a certain status. Okay. Number 2, don't take offenses so personal. People are fighting battles and demons that you can't even see. Okay, focus on self-development. So when people do spill on you, because people will spill on you, a lot of people are not out here trying to heal themselves. It doesn't feel like a Money Mayweather punch. Okay, I still battle with this on a day-to-day, trying not to take things personal, because you be feeling like people got you messed up. But when you sit back and you stop taking things so personal, you will realize that things are more of a them problem than a you problem. And so you can throw a lot of them offenses in the trash, or you can swat, get them out of there. You know what I'm saying? Number 3, regulate your emotions. Again, regulate your emotions. Sit in it, but don't stay in it. Treat your emotions like a guest in your house. When you don't sit in it, you will be forced to deal with it in the future. So I think that is one of the big issues. We are forced to just suppress. And at the end of the day, you're going to eventually get triggered. And one day you just going to blow up and snap. So when you deal with the situation, when you sit in your sadness, when you sit in your heartbreak, your loss, whatever it is, your grief in that moment, you won't be as easily triggered in the future. That don't mean you won't get triggered, but you will learn how to regulate your emotions. Your emotions will be regulated better because you've dealt with it to the best of your ability in that moment, in that season. All right, number 4. You are not your circumstances. It shapes you, but it does not make you. Again, your circumstances shape you, but do not make you. So that goes back to feeling like you are imperfect or inadequate, or that guilt or shame. You are not your flaws. That's just a piece of you. You are not what you went through as a child. That is just a piece of you. Okay? So, y'all, literally, therapy has literally changed my life. Number 5, give yourself and others grace with boundaries in place. And I said that I was going to touch on this at the beginning of this episode, but there's a difference between boundaries and rules, okay? Boundaries, let me give you an example of a boundary. When this happened, this will happen. So, let's just say this. When you violate my trust, it will cause me to feel hurt and pain, and that will lead to us possibly falling out or breaking up, versus you better not do this to me. You better not do that to me. Like, those are rules. Like, that's trying to put too much control on a person. But when you set boundaries, you say, hey, if you do this, this will happen. This will be the result of that. It's more of a cause and effect thing versus he can't do this, she can't do that, etc. Okay? So all in all, y'all, I just want you guys to take away those top 5 gems. I know I have a whole list that I can come up with, but those are the most important. I've learned so much. And honestly, me doing this podcast is additional healing for me. Like, I really get to sit down and essentially talk to myself, talk to y'all, build a community who are trying to live their best lives and be the best version of themselves. So I really hope that this episode not only encourage you to do the healing, to do the work, but it lets you know that you are not your mistake. I think a lot of us are carrying around baggage and truly holding on to insecurities and probably dealing with lower self-esteem than we like to admit. And so when you sit and you realize, like, you're not the only one and you can get through it and you can heal through it, I feel like you will be better off. Okay. So I now have a new segment that I am introducing, and it's called the I Need to Know segment. All right. And I'm allowing you guys to email me at andnowiknowpod@gmail.com. Again, that's @nowiknowpod@gmail.com. Do not email any craziness. Simply just email anything that you need advice on, and I will be bringing it here on my solo segments or my solo episodes. And at the end of the solo episodes, I will be choosing 1 or 2, maybe even 3, depending how long or short they are. And I'm going to give you my best advice. And if I have a guest, the guest will be giving advice as well. So again, that's and now I know pod at gmail.com. I'll try to make sure I put it here on the screen for you. Or if you're listening, it will probably be at the bottom of the Apple Podcast or the Spotify like biography or information tab. So yes, y'all, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you're listening through a streaming platform, this episode is episode number 4. I have officially been doing this for a month. I've been doing it longer than a month, but you guys have now seen 4 official episodes. So I'm so excited. I'm so grateful. I feel like I'm growing faster than I even thought, so thank y'all for tuning in, and thank y'all for y'all listening ear. I love y'all. I'm wishing y'all well. I'm sending y'all love. And I forgot to do the "And Now I Know" segment. Did I do that on the last episode? I don't even remember. Y'all can comment down below on YouTube if you're watching. But what is one thing that I knew before going into therapy, or what I thought I knew? Before I started going into therapy, I thought that I could handle everything on my own. I thought that I can just figure it out and I can just keep navigating through life without any much healing. And now I know that therapy is life-changing and healing is necessary. And that I'm stronger, I'm better, I'm wiser. Shout out to Marvin Sapp. And yeah, y'all, thank y'all. And I know that was kind of rushed, but I appreciate y'all so much for tuning in. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe if you're listening and watching on YouTube. And don't forget to follow across all streaming platforms. And that is all on episode number 4 of the And Now I Know podcast with 32 Flavors.